Welcome back, everyone, to another Up to the Time presentation. Today, we are going to be looking at auxiliary projection. I have here a CXC question. Figure 3 shows the front elevation and plan of an I-shaped bar. Draw the given front elevation and plan. Draw an auxiliary elevation of the bar on the XY line. How are we going to go about this? What is the strategy? The first thing we need to do is reproduce. So we're going to reproduce this and that. But we also need to understand what is the plan and what is the front elevation. This is the front elevation, so I call that FE for front LE. And this down here, I'll call this PL for plan, right? That is the plan. I can just put AN plan. So now that we establish what is the front elevation and what is the plan, we can draw them. We can draw these. That's the first thing we got to do. We're going to draw them. And after drawing them, we're going to put in a few dimensions so that everything is clear to us. And what's the second thing from there? We need to determine where our auxiliary projection is going to be looking from. Now, this is an interesting question that let's clear here. They don't let us know the direction of which we are viewing our auxiliary projection from. However, I always tell my students that the view of the auxiliary projection is perpendicular to the X and Y line. So if we say this is the X and Y line here, which it is, and we were to draw a line here, which I've just drawn with the arrow, but I'll draw a line without the arrowhead. We set up a perpendicular here. This is a perpendicular. That means that this line is 90 degrees to the X and Y line. If y'all didn't know what a perpendicular is, I'm probably too shy to ask the question. That's what it means. Then two lines intersect and create a 90 degrees. That means they're perpendicular. So what does this really mean? That if this arrow is here, that means that the view is coming from this direction, right? That's all that tells us. So we are viewing from this direction where my two arrows are. So this is our viewpoint. So then that tells us which lines we need to project to the X and Y line. Because we have here two drawings, and I think this confused some students. Which drawing do I project through my X and Y line? Do I project my front elevation or do I project my plan? And what I've seen, some students have extended this X and Y line and projected from here so that it will go through like that at a perpendicular angle. No, that is not how it's done. The X and Y line is here for a reason, to let you know that we're dealing with this drawing down here, right? Nothing to do with the front elevation. So the drawing that we're going to be using to project our lines from is the plan drawing. So that means then that we are going to be taking our measurements from the front elevation, right? So I'm just going to place this here, place my arrows here, and I place arrows there. That just lets us know that measurements are taken from this drawing. So let me write here, measurements taken elevation. Measurements taken from front elevation, construction lines, from plan. All right. So that is the nutshell of how the strategy is going to go. So first, let's start off by reproducing what we have here. the front elevation, and then the plan. Okay, so let me get into AutoCAD now. Let's start off. I'm going to turn off my polar tracking. I'm going to place on my ortho, and I'm going to make sure that I am in construction layer to start with. Now, what is the length of this? This is 16, so I'm drawing a line, 16. And I'm going to go up 50. 15, right? And at this point here, I'm going to project 30 degrees. But this is interesting because they want us to use 30 degrees in here. Really and truly, that's 60 degrees. Let me explain what I mean. Because if this is 90, okay, this is another trick that you guys probably will stumble upon. If this is 90, they are telling us that they want in here to be 30. That means around here needs to be 60, so that the whole thing equals to 90. 30 plus 60, simple math. But they want this 30 here, so that means that I need to start from here and create my 60, and then the remaining is 30. That is all. That is all. Simple, simple, simple. So I'm going to come here at this point, alpha line, snap it here, and I am going to press shift less than symbol so I can punch in my angle, which is 60 degrees. And that is my angle of 60 degrees, meaning that the leftover angle is going to be 30 degrees. I hope everyone understood that. So let us check this. See, and that is our 30 degrees there, which is required. And the 60 degrees is here, right? So everyone gets to see, and then when you add that and that, well, what do we get? We get 90. Let's just erase what is needed and just keep what is necessary on the drawing. So now I can project that there and trim or fillet. I tend to use the fillet as a trim option too sometimes. So sometimes when you hear me say trim and you see me use the fillet tool, that just means that my mind is in trim mode, but the fillet tool came quickly to my hand, right? So it's probably used in a similar manner to just remove unwanted pieces of the drawing. So we have our shape here. This line now, so let us put this into outline quickly so that we can see our shape. Yeah, that's our shape there. Put this into dimension. That's a dimension there. And put that there into some form of a hidden line. Now, let us give ourselves a distance between our drawings. What distance are we going to give between our drawings here? I am going to give myself a distance of 30. Normally I give myself a distance of 10, but the reason why I'm using a distance of 30 is because I want my drawings to be far away as possible, or a fairly far distance, so that when I'm projecting my construction lines from the plan to the X and Y line, they do not really collide with my front elevation. That is the sole reason I'm separating them at a distance of 30. Who knows, I might even separate them at a distance of 50 so that lines don't cross each other and confuse the viewers. All right, but for right now, I'm going to start off with 30. So what does this mean? I'm going to offset 30 mil from my base here down. And this starts the next drawing. Now, let's go here. That's 40. So I'm going to offset from this 30 mil line down. That's 40. And now let's close this. Close. To get this all set up, I need to project lines down from here so I can copy. CO, copy from this point, that point, and this is already in. This helps me to set up my plan drawing using the orthographic technique. projecting lines down and across. So that join is lined up. Now it says I need to offset 15 in here. And I need to offset 15 in here. Lovely, I got that. Now I think I can clean this up. So I can trim here. And yeah. Another tool that I use is break. So I want to break this line at this point and then at this point. Why did I break that line? Because I'm going to come back and fill it this point to there and fill it there to there. So the tools that I use are break, fillet, and trim. Well, I want to, to edit the line. Those are the two main tools that I use. No, sorry, the three main tools that I use. Of course, that doesn't mean that those are the only tools that I use. Those are just the main tools that I use. So this line here is going to be hidden. So let's go over here and place it into the hidden layer. But one thing I don't like, I think my hidden lines, these dashes are too large. So I'm going to go to properties and I'm going to change them from 1 to 0.5. I like how that looks. So I'm going to match drop that, grab the properties from this, place it onto this one and that one. So that means all of my hidden lines now have a scale type of 0.5. However, when you go into properties, you do not actually see 0.5. The lowest number they have there is 1. But you can cheat the game by just taking 1 and just calling it up as 0.5 when you it actually changes the line, but it doesn't change the measurement. So if you were to look at that, like I'm going to show you, I'm going to click here and go to properties and you're going to see 1. But really and truly, this is 0.5. This isn't 1, but it doesn't call up a line type as 0.5. It starts at 1, but I discovered that you can actually go lower than 1. So that's just something there that I had to share with you all. Now, what's the next thing that I want to do? I want to establish my center line. So I'm going to come here. This is the midpoint, and project the line out that way and project this out in this direction. And I'm going to call this up as my center point, my center layer, or my center line. So that's in. So far, the first part of the strategy is complete. I have created my front elevation and I've created my plan. So let me just clear the drawing now and let us move on to the second phase. The second phase is we need to create the auxiliary projection. So let's come back here and review the second part of the strategy. What do we need to do? We need to create this line here at 60 degrees, and this is going to be opposite to this 60 degrees that we created before. So if we wanted to see how much that is that we need to punch into AutoCAD, we need to go 180 subtract 60, which is 120. So that line is actually 120 if we are going to be starting from here. That means that 120 degrees is from there to there, and the remaining bit is 60 on that side. All right. So that's another way that you can interpret that angle, especially when you need to go into AutoCAD and construct it. So that's the first thing we're going to do, create that X and Y line. We know the angle. And then after that, we're going to be projecting lines from these points through the X and Y line. And at the X and Y line intersection, they must create 90 degrees. So I'm going to do that. So I'm just going to put that in there to show that all these lines all these points need to have lines. And what do I mean by all these points? All the edges, all the corners right here, they get a construction line. Be pretty tricky. So that's what I'm going to do. Then after, I think I can label, or I'm going to label first and then project the lines. The reason I'm going to label is for educational purposes so that everyone at home can follow me closely and know that each line has a name, or each point has a name, so that when we ready to plot this, we wouldn't get confused. All right, so that's what I'm going to do now. Give all of these a name. Okay, so let's start off. Where do I want to start with A? Let us start here. Call that as A. A. B. C. D. What does that mean? That means that A, and that's this B here, B here, and this is D. So obviously that's A, B, C, D on the front face. Now we need to place that on the plan before we go any further. So where is A going to be? A is going to be down here at this point. And where is B going to be? B is also going to be at the base down here at this point. But look at what happens. B and C are going to be sharing the same point on the plan, right? So that is B comma C there, all right? And then D is going to be right here. Let's pull down construction lines so that we can find D properly. And D is going to be right here at this area. So I'm just going to copy over A and then change it to D. Know what I'm going to do. That's A, D, and B, and C. I just move my points away from the actual edge. Sorry, my letters away from the edge so that when I'm snapping, I don't snap to the letters, I snap to the edge all the time. So that's A, B, C, D. All right. Now, there are other points that need to go in here now. What about on the other side? So that's, if this is A, B, C, D, that means then that this could be E, F, G, and this would be H. Let us put in these points on the other side now. Just move this up and edit this. A, B, C, D. Call this point E, F, and G. And then this would be H by itself. All right. So what does this mean then? That where we have B, B would be F also. On this line, this would be B comma F. And here will be C comma G. C comma G. All right. And then this will be D, and this will be comma H. Comma H. And down here will be A, comma E, because E would be in the background. Okay, so far so good. Now we need to label the inside points. So we are at H. H, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. So we're looking for H, I, J, K, L. So let's go here. I, J, K, L, M, N, O. It's a lot, but that's how it goes. So let's go H, I. So where is I going to be? Let's put the I in the middle. It should be H, I, J, K, L, M N O P. So everything has a label on it. Now we need to get this over here. So at this point here, now we're gonna have 4 labels on this point here, right? We're gonna have O, J, L, N. Then at this bottom point, we're gonna have P, I, K, M. I think that's easy to understand. So let me just move this here. Here. I'll bring it off the edge slightly. So with that is O, comma, J, comma, L, comma, N. That there is P, comma, I, comma, K, comma, M. All right. I think I got in all of my points. No. Next thing for me to do is to, what's the next thing to do? Do I have in all my points? I'm just checking first before I go along. No, yeah. There are 2 points here, this intersection and this, but I'm not going to call them up as yet, although I think I do need them. Yes, I do need them. So far, I mean, do I need to call them up? Do we call them Q and R? I think we can call them up Q and R. Let's call that Q and let's call that R. Q. And let's call that R. And then I'm going to place Q up here. Actually, Q and R will be on the same line. Q, R. What's this one? Q, R, S, T. U. Let's call it S. T. Q and R and yeah, Q and R will be on that. So this will be Q and R. Q and R, right? And then the bottom ones will be S and T. S, comma, T. Q and R, so that would be Q. S and T. So that should be QT. QT. That would be RS. All right. I think I'm on track. I have just labeled all the possible points that we'll be using all the way. These points are a lot. Let's just put it that way. Let's stay focused now. The next part of the strategy is to create a 60-degree line here, or remember I said that this would be created using 120 degrees. Let's draw that. Okay, good. And just bring that down here. I don't want it too close to this front joint because I don't want lines to be, let's get a perpendicular. And once I get one perpendicular, which is here, then I can copy it around. So I'm going to go to my furthest point and see what happens if it's going to be. Let me just snap this to the edge. Yes, you see, it's going to, what's going to happen is we're going to be cutting through our joint. So I'm going to move this top joint up slightly. I'm going to move that up by 10. Great. It does not cross joints. So instead of offsetting my distance of 30, my distance is now 40 between my joints. Just making it clear for everyone to see that my distance is 40 between my joints. Now I have adjusted that. All right. Now I'm going to insert all of my construction lines here. I'm going to copy. And the good thing is all of my construction lines have a label. Everything has a name. This makes it easier when we are going to plot. It looks confusing now, yeah, but in the end, it will make a lot of sense. So normally what I like to do is I like to trim these lines here and start off at 0. Just put that here. Perfect, good. Everything is extended to that line here, and let us use this as our 0 line. So I'm going to place this into the 0 layer. Yes, that is my X and Y. Label it now at this stage. Call that there X. Call that there Y. Right. We make them larger. X and Y, fairly large on the screen. Everyone should be able to see them. Now, I don't need this screen anymore, so I'm going to maximize and use the screen that I need. Now, what I'm going to do, the next thing now is I need to establish what is called my X and Y line. So really and truly, this is my X and Y prime. Let me just call it my X and Y prime because I'm going to set up an X and Y line separating my plan and my front elevation. I'm going to put my X and Y line between my two joints at exactly half. So this is my X and Y line. I'm going to call that my X and Y line. So I'm going to just copy that from there. And this is just being X, not X prime. X prime is when we rotate the line. Just be Y. So this will be simple X and Y. Why did I do that? Because my X and Y line are essentially my 0 lines. Wherever X and Y you see, you know, this is where we start off at 0, right? 0 here, and we start off at 0. So what does that really mean? We measure from 0 up to the joint. So we will measure from here, 0 going to that, whatever that distance is, 0 going to that, 0 going to that, 0 going to that, 0 going to that, and every point there. Then when we get those, we come back over here. So, and then we plot them. Right? So that's the next part of the strategy now. Okay. I'm going to move this 40 dimension from there. At the end, I can place it back in there. Now, let's start looking at how many things we need to measure. We really only need to measure 1, 2, 3, and 4 lines. That is all. We can get our drawing over in auxiliary projection by just knowing 4 key dimensions. Why did I say that? Because A, E, B, and F are all on this path, so they're all on that line, the same distance away from our X and Y line. P, I, K, M, S, T are all on this line, the same distance away from 0. So let me just do that so that everyone can see the strategy here. DIM, that's 20 from 0. Right? Pull to there. That's now 30. There. That's now 60. And lastly, that is now 70. So your distances are 20, 30, 60, 70. Simple. What I can do here now is I can first, let's offset the 20 distance from my 0 line on my X and Y prime. And that is where my 20 would be. Put that in construction. Now, what is going to be on that 20 line? A, E, B, and F. So let's look for A. This is A. Let's look for E. That is E. Let's look for B. This is the B line. And let's look for F. That is the F line. So what I can do is just drag these and pull these over to here. Or I can simply extend. I go boundary edge. And I click there. And why I don't like doing this is because I've actually lost the letters that I'm looking for. All right. So I just like dragging here. And then look for the perpendicular symbol that's there. B, drag, and look for the perpendicular symbol, and then snap it in there. So I got in B, A, E, and I need now to look for F. This is the F. F and G share the same spot, and we do. So now that I've gotten those in, what I am going to do is I'm going to label them. But I'm going to label them very small so that it doesn't really get too confusing. So I'm going to put that at size 2. Right. So that's E in position. Then this one would be F in position. This one would be A in position, and that would be B. So it goes E, F, A, and B. What we're going to do is we're just going to follow this simple process all the way up, right? So that's A, E, B, and F in at 20. Now we need to look for P, I, K, M, S, T at 30. So I'm going to offset. This goes to 30. And where's my P line? My P line is here, so I can drag that up to there. And then I'm going to put the point there and call that as P one time. And for my I is here. Drag that up. Call that I one time. Copy the note. For this I. Now let's look for K. K is here. Okay. K is there. And then we look for M. M is there. Let me look for S. Put S to there. S, and then let's look for T. T is here. So far, so good. Actually, what I'm going to do is these lines that I offset, I am going to put them in the hatch layer because I'm going to come back and dimension them, right? So everyone can see the full construction process. So we now need to offset 60 and see what lines we're looking for, what points we're looking for. We're looking, when we offset 60 millimeters, we're now looking for O, J, L, N, Q, and R. Offset 60, you know. So this is our O line here. There, that's O. We can label that as O1. And we need now J. Interesting. J and K share the same line. So we just pull from K also up to here. And that is J. L. That's the L line. L. And now we look for N. N is here. N. Then we look for Q. 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 And then after Q, we look for R. And that is our R here. All right. So far, so good. Now the last bit is our DHCG line. So we offset now 70. And that into the hatch layer, just to differentiate. DHCG. Those are the lines now that we're looking for the points actually. So this is D. And that goes all the way up to here. We call that up as D. D. And then we go H. Here's H. H is over here. So we grab the H and we pull that up to there, perpendicular. Move across the label. Edit this and call that H. Now we look for C. Where is C? C is down here. Do the same. C and B share the same line. Not a problem. Pull that up to there. And call that H. No, H. C, sorry. Call that C. Not H. And we're looking for G now. G is on the edge here. Pull that from there all the way up to there, perpendicular. And that there is G. Now, at this stage, I would advise everyone to save. So I'm going to save and give this a name, right? Call it AUXILIARY. Let's spell that again. AUXILIARY. Auxiliary projection. Projection. Let's see question. Oh, they tell me I have that already. So let's put CXC question 2. Oh, they also tell me I have that already. Oh, let's put CXC question 3. Good. All right. That's finished now in terms of setting up the tracks. Now, the last thing I need to do is connect these all together so that we can see the shape there over on the auxiliary view. What am I going to do? I'm going to go now and go to outline, and it's fairly easy. A goes to B and B. Yeah. So A goes to B, B goes to C, C goes to D. So let's start with that. L, A goes to B, and B goes to C, C goes to D, and D goes to A, B, C, D, E. But B does not go to E like that, you know. You got to remember that E is also on the other face. When we created this face, let me stop and let us retract. When we created this face, we were only starting off with A, B, C, and D. Those were the first original points that we used when creating this face. So we need to connect this as a shape: A, B, C, D, and then back to A. So this is the original shape here: A, B, C, C to D, and then D back to A. Once we have done that, we can then copy that shape over to the point E, because at that moment, then E will connect to F, F will connect to G, and G to H, and H back to E. So we do not really go A, B, C, D, and then from D to E. We go from D back to A so that we can get that shaping, okay? So let's go here. So D goes back to A, right? That there is in, and that means then that I can take this shape, copy, and I can grab it here at A and move it over to E, right? And it should work. Yeah, it should work. Here is E, point E. Point E is right here. Yeah. Right. Something seems slightly off here with this, because let me just chop my E line. This is my E. And let me just look at my F. This is the edge of my F line here, because my F and my G are going to line up. So let me just move this over. Okay. Let's leave it there for now. Now, the next thing is we're going to place in the other parts of this. Now, this is fairly easy. We know that these lines which go from O, J, L, N, and Q and R are going to be right here: O, J, L, N, and Q and R. So what does this mean? This means that this line goes from there to there. Yes, that we know. And then at the bottom, it's going to go from here, we have the M, all the way down to here as well. Let's locate what happens in the middle. What happens in the middle is the I and the J. The I, the J, the K, and the L. Right here. So I and K, let's locate these points. And there are going to be somewhere here, I and K. Yep, I and K. So what we can do is that I and K is we know that I goes to J. So I can draw a line from I to J. And that same line, I can find where K is and draw a line from K to L. Or I can copy. Yeah, copy. You see how that works out? That's starting to look good. And then we know that J goes to O and I goes to P. So we can just connect this: I over to P, J over to O. Up in there, no? Good. And then we go L to N. So that's L, and that goes to N. And then we go K goes to M. K going to M. There, yep. So what does this mean? This means that this piece back here, we don't really see. because that's not going to be on our face. So let's pull that to there. Or we can actually take that out because we're not going to be able to see that when the drawing is presented in an auxiliary view. Some of these lines here, I should probably put into a different layer so that you would be able to see what is going to be directly in front or what is going to be cut, rather than seeing everything. So I'm just going to put these into, let's call it, you know, let's keep it in outline for now. Probably when I turn off my construction layer, I can then place things around into different layers so that you will be able to see the profile and you'll be able to see things that are in the background that we're not cutting through. I think this is it now. I have finished the auxiliary projection. I'm going to turn this off and let's have a look here. This is our auxiliary projection. If we were looking at it from this direction, right? This is what we would see. All right. This is how it would present itself. Now, one thing that I don't like is the fact that these lines here at the side, I think that these should be in a different layer. So I'm going to put them in the hatch layer. And what I'm going to do to express this a little more is I'm going to hatch the cut area right here. I'm going to hatch here, yeah, and I'm going to change it to J-wood. Love that hatch. And, yeah. And I'm going to put it into my hatch layer. Yeah. So that is able, I mean, I did that because I wanted people to identify where the cut is and where that profile appears. When you look at the auxiliary, you can see the profile where that appears. And when you look at the plan, you can see the connection between the plan and the auxiliary. Okay, so the last thing that I'm going to do before I finish off this drawing is I'm going to dimension. Like I said, we pull dimension lines all from our 0. So from 0 to this first one was 20. From 0 to this second one was 30. From 0 to this third one was 60. And from 0 to this last one was 70. Right? Also, I need to label. I'm going to grab this. This is nice and large. I'm going to put it here. I'm going to call this ELAN. Plan. Good. Copy this up now, and then this will be my front elevation. My front elevation, that's my plan. And then this is my auxiliary AUXILARY auxiliary projection. Right? So this is the view that was just created. Okay. That's the finish one. Again, what do? We label. My name, RAYMOND, groups. The title, auxiliary projection, date, June 2022. So this is a finished question here. It is just, so let me clear off the drawing and question that was given and make sure that I have completed everything. So figure 3 shows the front end plan of an I-shaped bar. Draw the given front elevation and plan. I've done that, so I know I can get marks there. And the next part of the question, draw an auxiliary elevation of the bar on the X and Y line. Now, I have done that. I hope everyone has understood how to create this auxiliary projection. I am going to turn back on my construction layer so that we can see the full construction and how it looks. I would encourage people to take these instructions and practice on your own. Take the same measurements and reproduce this until you understand it. If you're having problems, you can stop the video, you can rewind and take it in small chunks. Don't try to digest this all at one time. Again, the word I like to use, baby steps. Right, this brings us to the end of this presentation. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Take care for now. I am out.